All right, everybody, good evening. It's Wednesday night. It is our double session this week on Conversations with Commodores. And I have got, I think, one of the more recent legends from our program, Super Bowl champ with the Kansas City Chiefs. We got Emmanuel Smith with us tonight. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the show, and I look forward to just having a good, wholesome, true to heart conversation.
I think it's going to be a good one. I don't know about the wholesome part. We'll see who shows up and throws some shade your way tonight during our conversation. But I know you guys know this fella. He is the next generation to come out of Murfreesboro. Joe Peoples, my generation came out of Murfreesboro. And Joe, you may have to take a back seat tonight when you show up in here for Emmanuel, because he is tonight's mayor of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Of course, he played under Coach Mason's 2014, 2017, I think, time period, and then got around in the pros for 3 or 4 seasons. Emmanuel, before you share your story, this was cut down week. The NFL announced their rosters in the last 24 hours. I know you lived that nervousness. I know you lived that for 3 or 4 seasons. What's it like for the guys who are waiting to find out if they've got a home on the 53-man roster for right now, or they're looking for a new home in the NFL?
Yeah, no, I mean this time of the year is for those guys is always hard. I've had people ask me, like, "Hey, do you watch Hard Knocks?" And I'm like, "No, because that's the life that I lived."
Okay.
And it's not as glamorous as people think. And a lot of those guys, like I said, they're figuring out, do I have a home or am I living at a hotel for weeks at a time until I stick somewhere?
Mhm.
And the nerves are there, the anxious is there, but a lot of those guys who either have gotten cut here in the last 24 hours or have made the teams, as long as they got good faith to lean on and a good community around them, they'll be able to get through it and always bounce back. I mean, I remember when I got cut the first time, it was definitely eye-opening and shocking to realize how much of a business it is at that level. And the things that I battled with, and I'm sure we'll probably get into that throughout conversation today. Battle during that time, I wouldn't change it for the world because it gave me an opportunity to really just grow and become a better man.
Is it when somebody gets when you get cut, when you get notified, are you then relying on your agent to make those connections, or how does that? I guess I'm kind of asking how the sausage is made.
Yeah, yeah,
That side of it that we never see.
right. No, for sure. I mean, first off, I think the guy who I think he's known as the Grim Reaper for every team.
Mhm.
You don't want to see his name come across your phone, and you don't want to see him in person because it's just a bad day. And when that happens, you really do kind of you get cut. You get a chance to pack your stuff out of the locker room, get your bearings together. Depending on what you did for apartments, like did you get a renew, figure out how to break the lease, and where you're going next. A lot of guys go back home to home base to try to figure that out. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of conversations with your agent to figure out like, hey, what's next? Like what did I put on during preseason? Who was interested? Where do you think the best place for me to go to have either make a practice squad or potentially be able to make active? And figuring out what those dynamics looks like. Because a lot of times you don't want to go somewhere, whether for me, for example, if the linebacker room was loaded with just Hall of Fames and vets and the guys who've been doing really well, I don't
Mhm.
want to go behind that team because I know it's a slim chance that I get a chance to get moved up. So figuring out like what's the best step business wise for me to produce myself and showcase myself to be sure I can stick around.
Well, I haven't seen all of our guys who have made the squads. I know Hayball and Orgy made the Saints. I know Sherfield made the Vikings. Who are some other guys you've heard or know personally who did make some squads?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Orrin made his squad as well. He's Philly now.
Mhm.
I think who else I talked to recently. Off the top of my head, those are the guys that I know for sure. I feel like they have made the squad,
Mhm.
and just seeing how they've been just performing. I look
I
forward to
hadn't
figuring out
seen
more.
Zach Cunningham's name bounced around yet, so I don't know if
Yeah,
he made the squad.
and that'll be interesting. I mean, he'll if he didn't, he'll definitely be picked up at some point during the year. The man is hands down probably one of the freakiest linebackers I've ever seen be able to play and play with.
You know, the and not to get off on his topic, but he made two of the most athletic plays I've ever seen a linebacker. And you know what I'm talking about. The final stop against Georgia, and when he jumped over the line against Auburn for the kick.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
goodness. He's one of those guys. I remember in the room, and I had just moved the linebacker, and Coach Mar was like, "Hey, we don't jump over chop blocks. We go into that next game. Zach jumps over a chop block, gets a tackle for loss. I'm like, how's this man doing this? So I get a chance to try it. I try it and get flipped, and I'm like, I know why Coach said don't do that. And there's some guys who just realize like, man, you have a gift, and it's Zach is one of those guys that has that gift, which is really impressive.
Yeah, he is. We'll get him on the show eventually, but Emmanuel, I want to back up a bunch of years. I want to go back to growing up in Murfreesboro and matriculating through Oakland High School. I know you were in the shadows of Joe P back then, but
Yeah.
what sports did you play, and at what point in your childhood or getting into your high school years did it kind of evolve to you that, hey, I can do this on the next level, and I think I want to pursue it? So kind
Yeah,
of
no,
take
for
us through those early years.
That's for sure. Early years was definitely fun. It was always nice. Me and my brother a year apart. So we did almost everything together. Played football, basketball. We ran track. And I'm sure we probably attempted baseball. I don't think I had the attention span for baseball, but we at least tried it. And as we kind of moved up, time through middle school, my parents coached us up to that point in sports. Got to middle school and was like, hey, we love football and basketball. Ideally, basketball was my very first love. So I remember in middle school, I tried to quit football one practice, and they called my dad, and they were like, "Your son's trying to quit." And he got up to school and slowly walked me back to the field, to say the least. And I didn't quit. He said, under my house, you play these sports and you continue to do it the best you can. And I'm glad he said that, because obviously it made my life really well. Because I was just a kid. So went there, left there, went to Oakland, and was having a blast. We went there freshman year, figuring out like, hey, can I play on varsity, and trying to figure out like, what's my role here. Got a chance. I wanted to be a quarterback. I thought I could be a quarterback, and was training to be a quarterback in the summers. Like I was doing all that. Figured out like I got this thing down. I have an arm. I feel like I had an arm. At least everybody in there in high school, like I can do the quarterback role. Was doing that, and then kind of coming up to my junior year, I met a guy, a couple guys at the NFL, not NFL, but Playmakers Academy. And they trained us in the summertime. And they trained me, like Derek Barnett, Josh Malone, just a lot of guys, Rashawn Gall, a lot of guys in the area who were in high school, figuring out where do we want to go next, And they told me like, hey, buddy, like I hate to bust your bubble, but you're not going to be a quarterback at the next level. And I was like, okay, like what am I going to be? And they told me to go play defense, focus on safety. And that was the time like it switched to my head. Like, all right, let me go trying to figure out how to be really good at safety. Didn't have any offers really in my junior year, or going into my junior year. Just figuring like, all right, how can I get seen? Like I believe that I have the talent, but didn't know how to figure out if I actually had enough to go play somewhere else like I wanted to. And did a lot of camps and started getting recognized as a safety and started getting offers. And my first offer came from my basketball highlight tape. It wasn't even from football. It was like, hey, you're athletic. You know how to play your body. You got good body control. And they saw me play football and gave me an offer. And I was like, this is great. Like, thank God, being multi-sport athletes. And after that, it kind of clicked. He was like, hey, I can actually do this at the next level. And then like the real dream that came out was my brother and I, we always wanted to be on the college video game, which now is back around. That was like our main goal. We would spend endless nights just playing on the game, creating the players. And I was like, all right, Josh, we got a chance. Like we got big offers, Vandy's in the video game. We can be on the video game and play with ourselves. And of course, we get to college and the video game stops getting made.
Right.
But that was the journey to high school. And it was a lot of fun. I didn't realize what sport I wanted to do until my senior year. I had to actually make a decision in the road, like, hey, am I going to try to go basketball? I'm going to try to go football. And I had some mid D1 offers in basketball, but I was like, I think football is more so better upside. I'm bigger in football, basketball. I'm small, and I'm not as lanky as skinny, so I didn't have the frame for sure. So I ended up going with football.
When did you hit your growth spurt?
Oh man, see, it depends on who you ask. You ask the guys that played against us in high school, they're like, "Man, you always been 6'2" since you were like a freshman." I'm like, I don't think I was that tall, guys. I'm definitely more lanky. I think I definitely I started filling my body in probably my junior senior years when I started really like getting to like, hey, I'm developing a little bit. I actually can run, I can hang, I can do different things. I'm stronger here and there in different ways, different environments.
You know, it's always funny when you see a tall, lanky young kid who's like 14 or 15. They're almost like a deer on ice.
Yes.
They can't control their movements. And it's not until they start filling out, lifting the weights and the protein and all that, and then they start figuring out this is how I know how to move as an athlete. And they're no longer, now they have that confidence of
Yeah.
if you will.
That is true. I was like, I had a bird chest. I was just a skinny kid, and then finally started putting out a little bit. I was like, okay, I can do this,
Yeah, I want to see that ninth grade video football version, highlights.
Yeah.
And then let's see that senior year. There's probably a big difference. Guys, I got Emmanuel Smith out of Murfreesboro, and we're about to hit the time period. He's getting recruited. When did you decide that Vanderbilt was now on your radar? They were interested in you, and you came over for a visit. I realized Murfreesboro's not that far from campus, but had you ever been to campus for any reason before the recruiting time?
Funny enough, believe it or not, I didn't even know Vanderbilt was in Nashville until I got an offer.
Wow.
And when I was getting recruited, I think the school in the orange that we don't mention gave me my first offer. And I was like, okay, cool. Didn't know much about how the recruiting world went out. So after we did that, we started hitting the scene a little more. And Franklin was at Vandy when I got the offer. He came to my game. I remember the game playing Laverne. At Laverne, he was standing on the sideline. He came to the game and ended up giving me an offer after that game. I was like, sweet. Didn't know much about it. Decided to figure out like, hey, let's do the official visit thing. And it was fun.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but did you know he was coming to that game?
No, I did not. I did not know he was coming to that game. My daughter's about to walk in on it.
That's cool. She's welcome to join us. Who we got there?
This is Felicity.
Hi, Felicity. Hi, sweetheart. Now, during that game, the Laverne game, did you learn that Franklin was on the sidelines?
Yeah, I did. I was actually running down the sidelines. We were in a QB, like a QB power, and I was running down the sidelines, and I looked over, and I'm like, hey, there's a college coach here. What's going on?
Wait. You had presence of mind to not only look over to the sidelines, but then recognize, all right, that was a man playing against boys right there that night. If you had that presence of mind. That's
we all noticed it. It was like, okay, this is pretty cool. You get to the sideline, you're all talking about it. I scored in that play too, so I was really hyped. And I was like, got a touchdown. He was watching. I was like, I'm doing good things right now, Mom and Dad.
It's a good thing you didn't wink or point at coach as you went by, because that might have been a little much.
Yeah, that would have been. Nowadays, you never know. Kids nowadays,
they pull out their phone. They're running down the sidelines. Look, I'm live. I mean, it's not quite, but I'm sure one day it's getting to that.
It will be. It will be.
So you meet up with Franklin after the game and you get an offer.
Yes, sir. I get an offer, and we just talking. Like, I appreciate the offer. And then start figuring out where we're taking our official visits. And I remember going down to Vandy, and it was my first official visit. And my parents cracked me. They said, "Hey, we're not gonna come in on the first one because you got more you got to see. You don't know you're gonna go." I was like, all right, yes, sounds great. Got down there. My official visit, I think we had Bryce Lewis, we had Trent, we had Trey Herndon, and Trey Tarpley. I mean, we just had so many.
All on your same visit.
All on the same visit, yes.
Wow. Now, who were your hosts?
Oh my God, who was my host then? I can't, top of my head, I cannot remember who my host was.
Now I'll tell you this, Emmanuel. this is going to be a public video and a public conversation. So you choose wisely what you want to share about that visit. And you're not old enough for the statute of limitations to have expired. So I'm not saying you did anything wrong.
It was a good visit. We had a lot of fun. I mean, the guys
Well,
showed us a good
clearly.
time. I got to see Nashville, and I was like, man, like living so close, we didn't really go to Nashville like that. So I was like,
Right,
I wasn't old
right.
enough, didn't care about it. So when I got to actually see Nashville, I was like, this is a cool city, like a truly cool city. Talked to Franklin after that, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna commit. And
I knew you were going to say that.
I committed right after the official visit. I committed. My parents like I thought I wasn't committing the first visit, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what happened, but I committed.
What happened to the rest of the visits?
I might have took one more, I believe. I think I took maybe two more. The
Right.
Orange School, we went up there and visit them, and then I think maybe Kentucky. I went and visit
And
and
did any of the other guys commit on that same trip? That same weekend. Do you know?
I want to say like a lot of it did actually.
Yeah.
It was a good weekend. I mean, we had a lot of people in there. I mean, it was a fun class that committed, and it was one of those times that like Franklin had left too right after that.
Well, that's why I was going to go with that because a lot of times when coaches leave, they convince either current players on the current roster or the new signee commits to follow. Why didn't you?
Yeah, no, he definitely he left to go to Penn State. He had called my brother and and was like, hey, we'll give you guys an offer to come to Penn State. I thought that was really cool. We took the offer, of course. But it was just I think half my class flipped. So yeah, half the class flipped to Penn State, half the class stayed at Vandy because like Trace McSorley. I mean, we had a class.
Yeah.
And then half of them flipped went to Penn State, and they all did great things at Penn State as well. But I just went home that day at the offer, at the gave him that offer. I sat down, took a pen, and just drew a circle like 6 hours within my house. It was further than 6 hours. I wasn't going to go because to me, I wanted to see one my family. I wanted them to be able to make a lot of games. And then my brother was a senior, my freshman, he was a senior, so I wanted to be able to also go back and see him play. And then I was also like, I mean, I gave the school my word. I was like, my dad's always taught me, you stay to your word, you stick it out. You be a man of your word. And I was like, they didn't give me no reason to back out or not to like decommit. So I was like, this is where I'm going, and I stayed true to what I believed in the gut feeling I got.
You know, it's you committed to the school, not to the man.
Yeah,
And a lot of times, and this goes to your maturity and your family's values and the way you were raised. A lot of guys in their mind kind of weigh, well, what's better option? Maybe I'm going to follow the man.
yeah,
Now, no shade against Penn State. It's a fantastic university, but those reasons, I bet your brother's presence is a big reason.
yeah,
I want to say Murfreesboro's got to be 10 hours from
yeah,
Happy Valley or whatever it is. So whatever was made, I mean, whatever those factors were, Black and Gold Nation still thanks you for staying.
yeah. No, I appreciate that. It was I don't I love the choice that I made to stay. I mean, it was one of the best decisions ever, just because like it was nice to one stay true to my word, and then two when Mason came there. I by all means, Mason's probably one of my favorite coaches I've ever had a chance to play for.
Well, I was going to say, with him being a defensive minded coach and having a reputation that way, and you playing on the defense, because we all know those quarterback days were long gone. I mean, I guess that kind of helped seal the deal, if you will.
Yeah, no, actually, the first day, luckily, we were in Murfreesboro, which is 30 minutes down the road. When Mason got hired, we actually went down for the press conference. And I remember we waited for Mason to come out. And I wanted to ask Mason, I had the idea that I wanted to play safety all through college. And a lot of schools are telling me, like, hey, you're going to be a linebacker because you're bigger in frame. hindsight's always 2020. I ended up playing linebacker in the NFL, so but I looked at Mason, I was like, Mason, like, I want to play safety. And I was like, do you like big safeties? And he looked at me and he was like, you want to play safety, you'll play safety. And in that coaching business, it's hard to find a lot of coaches that actually stay true to their word.
Right.
And Mason he told me that day, and up until I asked to move positions, he let me play safety. And I mean, I respect him just for that, but for a lot of other things too as well. Coming to Vandy is not an easy school to come into, and produce and win and bring in the right guys. It's hard, but it's fun. And he came in and he did a lot for a lot of the guys off the field and on the field. That these guys are like, man, we still love Mace for everything that he's poured into us. So
you're so right. It's very rare for a coach on the college, and I can't speak for the NFL that you could, that when they tell you something, they stick to what they're telling you because it's too easy to just, as a broad stroke, say all college coaches just tell you what you want to hear because they just want to get you into the program. And once they do that, they got you, and then they're going to put you where they want you or need you.
yeah.
But yeah, it's quite refreshing to hear that perspective and that experience that you had with Coach Mason.
Yeah, I mean, that right there, I was like, man, I think it's one of the best things about him is he sticks to his word. He tells somebody something, like he follows through on it, and I loved playing for somebody who was like that, who kept those values and wasn't going to try to sell me a dream, like, hey, you can do it, you want to do this, and sure, and you get there and like you hate it.
Well, how about now he's back in your hometown and he's got a few Vandy guys on his staff at MTSU.
Yeah,
How
he
cool
does.
is that?
And I absolutely love it. My brother's on staff.
Right.
Bryce Lewis is on staff. Darius Sims on staff. And we're coming back down. So we're having a great weekend. We'll come to the Vandy VT game, and then we went to the MTSU and Tennessee Tech game as well. I love it. I mean, I think it's phenomenal. I'm like, Mason. I mean, he'll do great things at MTSU. I have no doubt about it. And I'm excited.
You better be careful. You may get a call. You may get a job offer when you go back to visit.
Oh man, Mason always has my back, and I always got his. So I'm so pumped. I love that. I love that he's back in Murfreesboro. I love that he's not even just that he's back. He's also bringing guys that he coached. And he's still helping them out later in life.
Well, Darius was on the show a few months ago, and he's as excited as anybody. He really was. Emmanuel, let's talk about that transition out of Oakland High School, Tennessee high school football. And I always love to ask this. Share with us what you consider to be your welcome to the SEC moment.
Oh man, I remember this and I won't ever forget it. I'm glad that they don't do this no more. They might. We were my true freshman year. We were playing Georgia and we go out on kickoff, and I think I am the R4. And I mean, got my guys know where I'm going. The ball's kicked deep left. They're setting up to come back right. And I'm like, all right, I got the play. Running down, reading my keys. My guy takes off the other side of the field. Should have told me, like, hey, it's a trap block. I was young. I just saw an open gap, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to make my name, my first play. I get decapitated. I mean, they set me up so nice in the trap block. I remember, like, I got hit. I was parallel with the ground. I was looking at the sky, and I was like, there's no way this just happened to me. I'm like, what is this?
How far did you fly?
Oh, man, I hit the ground. It was like you hit the ground. I was like, oh, man, I'm definitely might be concussed, but I can't, like, lay here.
Right.
You get up slow. I run to the sideline. I'm like, Coach, take me off kickoff. I was like, I need more practice. I am not ready to be hit, by grown men. I thought I was a grown man. And I got hit by one. And I was like, yeah, not ready. He looked at me. He's like, you got it. Put back out there again. That's the last time I've been cracked back or trap block in my life. Because now my head was ever on the swivel. And that was my welcome moment. I'm like, man, this is SEC ball right here. Like
What, what,
fans are going crazy, crowd is loud.
you
You
know,
got a lot of athletes on the field, and they're hitting.
now step back for just a second. That moment, the head on the swivel. Now that you got three young ones at the house, how much is that head on a swivel in that house right now?
Oh man, it's now going from man to man to zone real quick, and it's like
Right.
I'm dropping to every zone as fast as possible. They think it's hilarious. I mean, you ask them now, they are like, I want to play for the Cincinnati Bengals and I want to play for the Detroit Lions, and they love it, and they love going back to see they've seen Vandy. They come to camps. They've been able to like, and they're just like, we love it. Like, they love football, and so now they think it's fun to like run around try to hide and hit me with pillows and all of these things. I'm like, look, guys, I'm ready now. I've been
That's right.
trained.
That's right. Guys, Emmanuel's got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old in that house. I'm sure it is full of energy all day long.
Yeah, it's nonstop, and the daughter's gonna be the meanest one of all of them, though. She's gonna be the toughest one. She's the youngest, and she is feisty. But glad to tell you, her older brothers, they just jump on her, and they don't know any better. So I'm like, she's gonna be hell on wheels, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
their days are coming. She's gonna be your athlete. Um, who did you room with freshman year?
Freshman year, I roomed with Trey Tarpley, and that was very fun. And that was it was we stayed at Gillette Dorm over there on Commons.
Mhm.
And I remember I think it was group me message him, and I'm like, hey, you got a roommate, bro? And he's like, no, they're gonna be roommates. And that it was funny. He came from Pennsylvania, and me come from Murfreesboro. Yeah, and he
Did
was.
y'all understand each other?
Oh man, it was like Tarp is one of the most laid back guys. It's just even kill. And we were just cracking up, and I was like, "Hey, bro, like, let's make it roll." So we stayed in Gillette. Bryce and Chuck stayed there as well,
Yeah.
and we had I mean, it was a blast. I mean, I loved it. We did actually freshman year room together and our sophomore year room together. It was
What
cool.
was what was Trey's impression of Murfreesboro the first time he went and visited home with you?
First off, everybody said it. Everybody spelled it wrong. And then when he came home, I think he had a good impression because he came home. My mom was doing home cooked food, so I think every Thanksgiving, every week they came home. It was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I got it, y'all. My mom will throw down, and my mom loves to cook, so
She
they
probably loved every minute of that too.
every second of it, every second. They came home, we all be knocked out on the couch, just passed out, eating the food, and
Food comas. Food
yeah,
comas.
man, it was real. We all be going, and we had a blast. The talk was, which is still one of my good friends today. We hit it all freshman year, and then just played the same position. Like, it was like we just always around each other. And even though he got a shot in the league last year as well, and figured out this year too now. So I'm always sending them blessings to all those guys, and figuring out that they're chasing the dream and playing it.
Well, sure. As you and I talked about, Trey was in Birmingham for a bit. I had dinner with him one night, and he came on the show, and we had a good time. But the better question is, what was your impression of Pittsburgh when you went up to visit?
Man, I don't think we ever visited up there in Pittsburgh. We just went to spring break and just trying to look down south. We took me and him, Bryce, Chuck, went down south. I think it was Florida, Savannah, well, somewhere but a beach.
Right.
And we hit it all. We loved it. And Tarver's probably one of like the most even keel people I've met. And when I met his parents, it made sense. Like, they both just, Tarver doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. Very like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've got this, and he's a smooth cat, is what I say.
Let's stay on that topic right there as an athlete. If you're going to be successful, no matter what level, you have to have a confidence about your abilities. You have to either inwardly you feel that way, or for the emotional guys, they share it and they tell you all of that.
Yeah.
But if you let your highs get too high and your lows get too low, it's hard to regulate that heart rate. It's hard to think straight. What did you do? Because if you're playing safety, and it's almost the equivalent, in my opinion, of playing quarterback. because you're surveying the whole defense and what the offense is doing. How did you keep your heart rate in check? How did you keep your focus during those times?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think credit. I mean, it's funny you say that. I think all great athletes have to have. They just have to know that. And it was funny. We watched the Netflix documentary Sprint before the Olympics, and we had my boys watching. And they were watching Noah Lyles, and just you see the person like Noah Lyles, one of those people who, I mean, he speaks it, he knows it, he says it, but backs it up. And you have other people who are just really quiet, like I'm here to run and do their same thing. I think for us, for me, it was the same way. I was one of those guys like I mean, I talk trash, but I was never like one of those super rah vocal guys. I was more so like, hey, I know what I gotta do. I'm playing my role, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do to make the plays. And I stay calm. Like, I mean, of course, if something bad happens, it's like, oh shit, something hit the fan. I gotta figure out what I'm doing. But
Right.
after that, Coach Dodson, the strength coach, he gave me a book. I think our freshman year. It's called Mental Edge. Which was a great book. And it taught me self-talk, taught me how to calm myself down, taught me how to like regulate those emotions. And so whenever I got in something like this situation, I would just immediately go to self-talk and like say I had my couple words that I said that got me back into the zone. Like, hey, I'm locked in, and you washed it off. And love that.
You know, without having some of that guidance, without having a coach or two who kind of recognizes that, you know, that makes or breaks an athlete's career. Because
Yes.
it, you know, no matter what position you play, if you can't slow the game down, if you can't recognize things just eventually naturally, and that's where I'm going with this, is beyond that play where you got your world rocked against Georgia, at what point, Emmanuel, in your Vanderbilt career, did the game start slowing down? Did you become even more confident as a ball player? And then you're just reacting as an athlete as opposed to just thinking through all your progressions and oh gosh, what I got, you know, all of
Right.
that.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's funny you said that. So if I ever talk to the guys like Kari, Blasting Game, Tarp, Willie Herndon, who the ones who were in the DB room. Uh, my sophomore year at camp, we had Coach Maxey, and talk about frankly just figuring out like what Joan, where I'm supposed to be at.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the playbook, but I didn't understand the defense conceptually wise.
Right.
But I was just making plays. Like I was supposed to be like a deep third safety. I would jump the hook curl because I thought that like I saw a ball when I would get a pick and like Coach Mack was like, "What are you doing?" And one of the funniest moments ever, like, we were in the film room and there's a clip that I jumped something I was not supposed to be there, but I got a pick and I took it back to the house, and he was like, "Every squirrel finds a nut," and he's like, "Oh look, you're just Emmanuel Smith, Murfreesboro, Tennessee All-Star. I'm just gonna do what I want to ball." And like I mean, the guys to this day we still crack up about it because he was just laying into me. And he should have. I was doing the wrong things.
Well,
But then I
that
realized,
receiver through the middle third was probably open by 30
oh, it
yards.
was wide open. It was a touchdown pass. The quarterback was
Yeah.
doing it. It was a,
Yeah. But
I
that
think,
taught you a lesson. I realize it stuck with you, but it
yeah.
probably, for a good reason, kind of changed your philosophies about what you needed to do.
Oh yeah, it did. It taught me alignment, assignment, and then attack. The 3 A's. That's how I went by everything. After that, and then I realized that my going into my senior year, because I had just moved to linebacker, I knew the defense well. I understood it conceptually, especially coming from the safety nickel spot coming down to a linebacker. I knew the back end, the coverages, that was no problem. The front seven was definitely a unique experience because everything happened a little faster in that front seven. But my senior year, I just felt so relaxed, so calm. Like I was just like, hey, I'm playing. I'm just reacting. I'm anticipating what I'm thinking, and I'm able to really play really well. And I was doing really well
Well,
until I got hurt. But
what I was going to say, Manuel, didn't you had some pretty experienced guys on defense who had a bunch of games under their belt.
yeah.
Remind the folks who were some of those guys you were playing alongside.
So on defense, Oren Burks, man, Oren, my junior and senior, we were rocking together. We had Stephen Weatherly, we had Trey Herndon, we had Tarp, Chuck, Nephi, Josh, Zach Cunningham. I'm trying to think who else is on that line.
And if you don't
Dio.
recognize And if you don't recognize
Dare,
these names, say again.
Dio and Dare.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some talent. It was a lot of talent.
You just
Um,
you just listed off 6 or 7 guys who made it into the league
yeah,
at one point or another, and a couple are still there. Or I think it was the Niners
yeah.
this past Super Bowl. So there's all kind of talent around you, and it probably when you have that much experience, when you have that much talent on one unit, it kind of makes each of your job easier, his job easier, because couldn't you can rely on those guys to do their respective jobs.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, when you got that, I tell you what I think. When you have trust and a brotherhood, and you can just know blind, like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. He's not going to mess up. The
Mm-hmm.
game becomes so much fun. 'Cause now I'm not worried about like, hey, is this guy gonna have his gap or his coverage? Like like I'm trusting Tarp to drop down. I'm trusting him to run. Like I'm always got my back. If he pulls, he's gonna let me know like, hey, what's going on. And like communication was there. It was clicking. We had. I mean, it was so fun. And we had such a calmness about us
Right.
that we were just able to kind of just go through that.
In addition, if you look back now, and I realize it's been several seasons since that year, you had Tarp, your roommate, you had all your buddies or a lot of your buddies
Yeah.
on that starting 11. How cool is that to be able to play college ball with some of even probably still some of your closest buddies?
Oh, it is. It was phenomenal. Like and I think that's what keeps us close to this day still too. It's like, man, we were on the battlefield, we were in the trenches together, but also outside of that, like we hung out. Everybody got along. Now
Mhm.
we still keep up with each other. Might not talk every day or every hour, but we all know like, hey, they got family, they got kids, they playing this week, playing here, and you keep up with them and like playing the league, you still bump into a lot of them. So like when you see them on the field, I do like you just give them a big hug and like, we go against each other. I remember going against Jordan Matthews. He's a tight end. We were blocking. We were just like we're getting off and fighting the block, and we were just laughing. It was like, dude, good. It's just good to see it, see your
Yeah.
friends, and be
Oren
around.
complains. Oren complains about having to guard Travis Kelsey. He doesn't have anything like you got at home with you playing that zone with, with the three around the house. At least his game's in. Yours are 24/7. But let
Oh
me
yeah.
ask you, what's the name of y'all's group text?
Oh, out the mud. That was the band group text, and it was like we all wanted to make Vandy great. We all wanted to be sure like, hey, we might not have all the super fancy things at the time, but we didn't need all those things to still go out there and create greatness today. And that's what we called it, and it was we loved it. It was fun, and we still keep up. And actually, a lot of the guys now we're trying to plan just a guys trip.
Mhm.
I think it was 16, 17 of us. We're just like, hey, even if it's like we're hanging out in Nashville, we're doing, so we just want to get a guy so we all get back around each other, just to have that laugh and just to
Mhm.
enjoy those times. Cause like those are times that we all died together and all lived together. And it was fun.
Well, even I'm much older than you, but we still laugh in my group. Most of the stories have a grain of truth. As you get older, you're going to find out. And maybe you don't remember it exactly the way I remember it, but at least some of it is true.
Yeah.
But guys, I've got Emmanuel Smith who played under Coach Mason. And after Vanderbilt, he was in the league for a few years, including the Chiefs Super Bowl year. And I want to kind of get to your senior year and then aspirations of playing in the league and kind of take us through that timetable. I know that you got hurt. You ended up being a free agent pickup, but take us through that time period.
Yeah, no, for sure. Senior year was going great. I mean, I was having a ball. I was playing really well. Everything looked good. And then played K State. We beat K State, which was phenomenal. And then after that, the season quickly took a turn because we played Bama next.
Yeah, I
Um,
was at both of those games, but go ahead.
yeah, and Bama was one game you won't like. You have the games you remember that was fun. The game like, dang, we got hurt. We got beat up pretty bad. That was one of those games. But after that, was doing well. I was like, all right, cool. I might have a shot to go play at the next level, not knowing. And then I got injuries, had stingers, and just a lot of things where I couldn't just move my arm. So I
Mhm.
missed about 5 or 6 games. And at that point, I was like, man, I just want to come back for maybe 2 games. Like, I just want to be able to come back and play, at least finish out my senior year. And that was the goal. Like, I just want to be on the field with the boys again and like rock out, have fun, because the next level is not promised. And we all knew that. But I didn't know what that looked like. So when the senior ended, I was like, man, what do I do? And I was like, I've been doing football my entire life. I might as well see how far I can take it and see what happens. Because, like I said earlier, the dream was never to, ironically, my parents growing up, they never pushed me and my brother to go play professional football. It was never like go be an NFL athlete. That was never what they had us pursue. So it was never a goal of ours. It was like, hey, if we make it, it'd be pretty sweet to say like, hey, we made it. Our goal was like, I want to be on a college video game. So when they stopped making that, I guess the next goal was like, can we be on Madden? So I guess we're trying to figure out like how can we be on the next video game that we can kind of see ourselves. But joking aside, we figured out, all right, cool. My senior's over. I started to do pro day training. I was like, let me see if I can at least test well, get a shot. I'll ask for opportunity to see if I can make it at the next level, if I can play at the next level. I knew I had the talent. I believed I had the talent, but at that level, I didn't know how it worked out. So tested well at pro day. Ended up getting a shot, being undrafted to Atlanta, and I love that Atlanta gave me my first shot. That was truly phenomenal. I called Coach Brick, as we called him, and he was phenomenal. He taught me so much about linebacker, but also like the guys at the Atlanta team was Deion Jones, DeAndre, and it was just a good linebacker room to be a part of. And I got a chance just to learn how the pros actually play ball, not knowing if I was gonna make it or not. And just being present and enjoying it. And then, of course, preseason goes out. I do decently well. Thursday game, I really had my best game. I think it was 4 at that time. It wasn't even 3. It was 4 still. Did really well, but still got cut. And when I got cut, that was a very hard season in my life because everybody always talks about like, oh, man, like my identity is not me and the football player. Oh, I guess that's the match with the football player. Like these people say that, and I used to say that I'm more than just that. Like that's not my identity. But when I got cut for the first time, I think that was a very eye-opening moment because that was the first time like I was told in my life, like, hey, you're not good enough to continue to play sports. And I was like, well, like, what do you mean? And I've always done this. This has like been where I've been at.
Yeah.
So I quickly lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. I went through depression. I went through suicidal thoughts, walked away from my faith. I was lost because I was like, man, like everything I've done in my life has been around football, and now it's taken away. And then from that, you know, my dad played ball at college at MTSU. He broke his neck when he was in college. So he went through a similar path, like football was taken away. And he started to see like, hey, you're going down a similar path that I was going down, and you don't need to go down that path. And he was like, you got to get out the house because I was still at home. I was training. I would go train, work out, come back, not leave the room. Like I wasn't smiling. I wasn't happy. Didn't really care about what was going on. And he's like, get out the house. You got to get out the house. And he had me go, ironically enough, I became a substitute teacher. And honestly, that was a heaven sent blessing to be a substitute teacher because I got out of the house. One, I can do this and be a substitute teacher and keep money coming in. But also, I wanted to pour into the kids and just give them like, hey, you can't go to college, maybe go do a trade job. I don't got that or something. Just give them some type of hope. Let them know people do care about them. That was my whole thing to be a substitute teacher. And then kids, I was substituting at Blackman High School and just other high schools too, but Blackman's where I did most of my time at. It was close to my house. And the kids found out that I played in the NFL. And once they found that out, it was like they was never going to let that question go. Because they come in the class, hey, why are you here? Why are you not playing? Like, and then the people that have kids know kids don't stop asking until the answer gets answered. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Just do your work. And I heard that. And those kids, they asked every single day for like I was unemployed for 3 months. I had to be picked up every single day for 3 months. They asked me every single day. And they finally got me to come out, open up and talk about it. And through that, man, they gave me, honestly, it one, restored my hope. It gave me a new perspective. Like I still was part of that 1%, even though I got cut, that had a chance to even put on an NFL jersey. And so like after that, I was forever grateful for whatever opportunity I got next. And I went in to inspire those kids, and they came out inspiring me. And that was the first year of me in the NFL. Was one of those things, and I was like, "This is it's difficult." I mean, like guys getting cut. I remember at this not yesterday. I was just like, get cut, get a call, and I'm like, "Hey, I got to fly to a workout in Indianapolis, do a workout for 35 minutes to tell them like, hey, we like you, put you on the list, send you back home, and then get them next week, fly out, and I'm in Seattle doing the same thing. I stay in Seattle for like a week and a half, get released, fly back home. And I'm like, I lived out of the airport and then the hotel rooms for almost 3 months. I had a duffel bag with 2 pair of pants, some underwear, my cleats, and tennis shoes, and a couple shirts. And that's what I took, because I was like, if I make it, I make it. If I need more clothes, I buy it there. And it was just a lot of figuring out who I was, self-identity, and like that journey. So the guys now, I'm like, I always feel for, and I even call them the ones that got cut today. I'm like, man, if there's anything that I can do, listen, be a soundboard perspective, help. I understand that journey, and if I can help you any way I possibly can, let me know.
Emmanuel, I gotta pause you because one, you just blew me away with some of what you just shared. How incredible is it that those kids you were teaching, you're trying to impress upon them, and they flipped it on you in such a positive way that it made such an impression on you. I think that is phenomenal.
Yeah, it did. I mean, and it's funny now. Ever since that moment, ended up getting picked up in Tampa. So I got picked up in Tampa, and I think every coach from then on, every time they see me, they call me Smitty. They're like, Smitty, why are you always smiling? And I was like, I am just happy for whatever I have. And in this moment, I'm able to go out and play football and live it. And I had a lot of kids give me hope again, and I'm not going to take that for granted. So, I mean, I everywhere I went, the coaches, if I was having a bad practice, I was always smiling. I was laughing. I just enjoyed the moment that I was there and I was present, because I knew it wasn't going to be forever. And I think coaches even told me, like, every time I see you, Smitty, you make me smile, because you're just always one of those guys just happy.
What a flip of the script from you going from that depression to your outlook on life going forward. But I want to back up to your senior year. You get hurt in the middle of the year and you miss those games. How did you deal with that depression, or that? How did you stay within the team framework, or did you kind of pull back during those weeks before you were able to be cleared again? How did you deal with it?
To me, I just tried to dive head first into it, honestly. I had a good support system around me. I had my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, but she was there. And she was able to kind of just talk to me about, because she played volleyball at Belmont and then played professionally as well. So she could relate to the athlete life, which is very nice. So I would talk to her about, it's just like, I'm stressed out. I'm just the anger and the annoyance that I have of being hurt, that I can't be out there with my guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
eating at me. And she was able to be a soundboard for me, and praise the Lord, because she was a good blessing as well. But then I just realized, she was like, you just gotta dive into it with the team. Like, don't pull back. Like, lean in. And I was like, all right. So when they were watching film, I'd be in the film. I wasn't skipping. I was
She
there.
knew.
Yeah.
She knew. And now we know where your daughter's athleticism is going to come from.
Oh, all her.
Emmanuel, you just shared that progression, your senior year, Falcons, the kids, the turnaround, the outlook. I know you appreciate what you went through and the blessings that were bestowed upon you and the blessings you're now paying forward. But what what I'm hearing is something that is remarkably rare, because any of those steps along the way, if you didn't have your then girlfriend, now wife, to be that safety net, because we all need that in life. We
Yes.
all need others to get us along in our journey. Those
Yep.
people who do it on their own are one, I'm a little questioning who they really are, because that's rare in life. Nobody does it alone.
Yeah.
But you're a prime example about how we have your dad. No, we don't. You get out of this, get out of the house. We're not doing that. Just
Yep.
along the way. And I know that's part of life. And,
Yes.
and what I'm hearing and are you even 30? How old are you now?
29.
Kid. I got shirt. This shirt's older than you. My point being is that you get it. And now you're giving it. And I'm giving you your flowers right here, buddy, because that's way beyond sport, and I love it. And that's what makes me proud to be a new friend in Emmanuel Smith, because I love this story. I really
Yes,
do.
sir. I appreciate that. No, I tell people all the time, I'm not self-made. I'm a system made. I had a community around me
Mhm.
that poured in hours and countless advice to get me to where I'm at now. And still to this day, I believe like my dad always told me growing up, like, hey, if you're an eagle, you fly with eagles, but you'll never see an eagle flying with doves. So
That's
you
right.
soar at the height that you want to soar at. And something that I even tell my kids, like, hey, like you are who you are and you be who you are, but you don't ever change or come down because you want to fit in. Like the right people and the right people who want to soar at the height, they will soar with you and they will uplift you and they will bring you up along that journey. And my life is a testimony of being around good people to help me lift up there.
Just don't ever be one of those crows on the sideline who's just the peanut gallery.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing that you just said, the fact that you're calling your guys on cut down day, man, that's it. That's everything right there. But I want you to now take us to the Kansas City Chiefs and that
Yeah.
experience.
Oh man.
What the Chiefs?
Kansas City was, to be honest with you, when I first got the call, and I think it's a God, I'm a man of faith, so I think it's a God thing. So when I got picked up to Tampa, Kansas City actually called me and asked me, do I want to come to Kansas City? But I went to Tampa instead. I wanted warm weather. So when I got cut from Tampa, I was surprised that Kansas City was still around for me to go be able to go play to. So my agent called me right after I got cut. Kansas City called like, "Hey, want to bring him up here?" I was like, "Holy shoot, I'm going." I was not prepared for Kansas. Let me tell you, I came up here with like Florida shorts, t-shirts, tank tops. I got up here in October. It was snowing. I'm like, "What in the world is going on?" Like I
And
am not prepared.
you got that southern thin skin,
Yes.
and you're probably chattering.
I had a Dickie suit, a one-piece Dickie suit. I was just, oh man, I was like, I'm not used to this. But I got to Kansas City. It's, I give this kudos to what they are today, Andy Reid and the people that he's brought into the association. I mean, it was a team like Tampa was a fun team, and I enjoyed playing on the BA. But it was more so ran like a business. It was like, hey, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you're not getting in trouble, you're good. When I got to Kansas City, it was wild because Andy Reid, even though I got brought here on practice squad first, I was a practice squad guy, so I'm not expecting the head coach to sit down with me at the lunchroom table and just ask me, "Hi, hey, tell me about your family. Tell me how you're doing. Like, what's like, who are you?" And I was like, I'm just a practice squad guy. I might be going tomorrow. Like, why are you the head coach actually sitting down and talking to me?
Right.
Um, as a practice squad guy, but he did that several times. And I was like, man, like he cares about his players and he does treat it as much as a family in a business setting can be. It
Mhm.
was here at Kansas City, and I mean I was blown away, and I was like, I'm gonna give this man everything I got because he's actually poured into me to invest. Like, hey, I just want to know you as a human, not the jersey number. Who are you? Like, let's talk about that. And that duplicated through his coaches. I mean, Spagnola. I mean, I could still call Spagnola right now. I just text him, and they'll respond back. And I absolutely love Spags. BD, I mean, all the guys they had there, and the coaches. I mean, they treated you like kids. And I asked them, hey, like you are our kids. Like that's how I see you. And they treated that way. They didn't ever talk to you wrong. They wanted to help you as much as possible. They always wanted to do the extra stuff. And I was like, all right, this is special. And then like we were playing in the season, going to that first Super Bowl run, and I remember like even in practice squad, I'm giving that my all. I'm going like if you go against me in practice, you know like hey this guy's going full speed every time no matter what. Like you don't have to question it. Sometimes it got me a little trouble. I mean sometimes like me and Travis might have bumped heads a couple times, and LaShawn McCoy when he came here, we almost got into scrapping because I was punching the ball. And I think I punched him a little too hard at the time. But it was like one of those things. Like, I'm always gonna give him my all, and those guys actually like, hey, no, keep pushing me. Like, I might get annoyed and bicker on the field, but like, no, keep pushing me because you're getting me ready for the game. Right. And that carried over. And we were making that first Super Bowl run. I was up and off, practice squad down, up and down. And we had a blast. And I remember that first game, I was like, all right, like I think we're playing Tennessee, if I remember correctly. And we were losing. And Andy Reid didn't say much. He leaned on the guys that he knew who the leaders were on the team and pat them, and they stepped up and rose to the occasion. And they did that. That whole Super Bowl was a battle of willpower, consistency, brotherhood, and determination. Because we were down all three games, even in Super Bowl. And when we finally won, it was, I mean, like for a kid who didn't dream of playing in the NFL, I don't dream of playing in the NFL. I never think about a Super Bowl. And so I was like, this is cool. My first ever NFL game is my own because we just didn't watch it like that. So we're sitting there and the clock's counting down, Super Bowl clock, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like we're about to win Super Bowl. I'm like, I'm still young in my career. There's guys who've played their whole career and never touched a Super Bowl ring. Yeah. And the clock goes, the confetti drops, and I'm like, there's no way I just became Super Bowl champion. Like blown away. And the guys were, I mean, everybody was in lockstep. Like there was no double guessing. Everybody knew what was going on. Everybody was driven. It wanted to happen. And this is like, this is truly amazing. And I was like it became one of those moments. It's like, wow, like you just kind of sit there in awe. Like, we really just came back, and now we're the champs of the world when it comes to this football.
For you, it's the right place at the right time.
Yes,
you were blessed, and I know you cherish that. You don't take it for granted. You have Hall of Famers who never won a Super Bowl. There's countless of these guys who've had amazing long careers, and even have the Yellow Jackets who don't know what you got. It's incredible.
Yeah, it was wild. So I was like, man, and part of the reason we made Kansas City home today is like the city itself. It actually reminded me a lot of Nashville when we were in college. It wasn't like Nashville now is.
It's a circus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. But Kansas, like when we were there, it was still very small. Like I was like, it was still a city, but we could get everywhere, have a good time. Yeah. That's how Kansas City is, and it's very. I mean, the fans, the people is just so nice. They're always loving. And it was like this, I mean, this city, they dive behind the Chiefs, but they also are just good people in the city and they care about the fans.
You better be pulling for the Royals. They're on a run right now.
I know. Yeah. No, I'm for all the teams. I mean, we go to some current games, we go to the sporting games, we go to Royals games. Yeah. And we go. And that's a good thing too. The community here with athletes is actually somewhere pretty close, so you can find a way to go to the games and still be having a good time. So
that's good. That's good. We got one more topic. I'm gonna cut you out of here. You've touched on it previously a little bit when you got hurt at Vanderbilt. Then you touched on it a little bit more impactful when you got cut by the Falcons. But every athlete's career comes to an end at some point.
Yep.
Whether you retire on your own, injury, you get cut, or you lose the passion, whatever that path is.
Yeah.
Take us to that point in your career and when you realized it's now time to move to the next phase in life, that really it's time to put the cleats up and move on?
Yeah, no, for sure. Actually, so I tore my hamstring my last year with the Chiefs. And I got healthy and I wouldn't play the year in the XFL. And my advice that I tell people is that's just me. I'm like, I got cut. I give it a year
Mm-hmm.
before I decide like I need to hang up because there's always somebody younger, faster coming behind us. And if I'm not getting no workouts, I'm not hearing anything in a year, within that year, that's kind of a sign to me. Um, so I got cut, and my year date was my birthday. And I was like, if I don't hit it on my birthday, I'm hanging it up. July 23rd, I got a call from the XFL, and they're like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we drafted you to come play in the XFL. And I was like, this is a sign from God. And I was like, all right, I'm coming to play. Told my wife, and I was like, this is no matter what happens. If I get a chance to go play in the NFL, I will definitely go play again. But if I don't, this will be my last year. But I told her, I was like, I'm going to play this time around, not for me, kind of like a hoorah. I'm going to play because I wanted to give back to the younger guys who were in the XFL that what I didn't have coming into the NFL was good leadership in terms of like morals and values and different things. I wanted to give that back to those guys and give them an example of like, hey, like if football at the end of the day is not it's not the end of the world, but also how you should carry yourself, what you should look for, and this be a sounding board to give them sound advice to help them better their lives. That was my whole goal. I wanted to be able to go impact those younger guys who are athletes because well, I think the statistic is after 7 years, most guys go bankrupt in the NFL and all these things. And I was like, divorce is high. I don't obviously I'm married, so we don't believe in divorce. I don't want to see them bankrupt. So I wanted those guys to have those things in place because football is fun, you enjoy it, but I was like, I want you guys to enjoy your life. So I went back with the whole reason to play again was just for that. And I absolutely enjoyed every second of me playing in the NFL. It was probably one of the most best times I've played football, probably since like high school. Like it was one of those like it was so carefree. I wasn't stressed. I was able to go out, have fun. We all lived in a hotel, so it was still like basically kind of in college again. Like we were all there. Like I had a roommate who I still talk to this day. This is great, and I loved it. And I actually was doing really well because I was just playing so carefree. I was doing pro to the point where I had 5 offers that I could have picked where I wanted to play for NFL next year, and I ended up tearing my Achilles the next game. And some of those things is like I've already been in the headspace of injuries and things like that. So when it happened, I was like, all right, like I was upset because I wanted to play because I was just having so much fun playing. But I wasn't bummed in the sense that like, hey, like the sport is done for you. Like I could have kept chasing it, but I was just like, I'm actually at peace now because the reason I came back was to inspire the younger guys. And now they call me all the time, like, hey, can I copy your resume? Like, hey, what are you doing? How do you do this? And they're asking me for advice. And all I wanted was to be able to help them anyways. So being able to do that was like that was my like moment I realized, like, hey, I'm fine walking away. And then we had kids. And I was like, everything that I wanted to do and use football for in my life, I have done. Not that I wanted more accolades and things, of course, but I didn't get those things. And I'm forever grateful for NFL. The football has given me in my entire life. But I mean, I had a family at home. I wanted to see my wife. We were expecting our daughter at the time. I was like I'm okay with hanging it up, letting my body heal, so I can just be around and be a dad. And that's like I think that's the coolest title in the world as a dad. Because I absolutely love it. I mean, people I was talking to Tarp today on the phone. He's like, dude, what do you do today? What do you do? He's like, all I see you doing is being a dad. I'm like, because I cherish every moment I have being a father and a husband, because those are the things that to me, side note, I think a lot of things that we're seeing in society today comes from broken homes. And I want my home to be an example of what a home together looks like. So
Keep this in mind. This is not original to me, but I've lived it. The days are long, but the years fly by. So
yeah.
I know you cherish those days. Now, speaking of titles, if you got the XFL guys asking you for advice, did they at any point start calling you Unc?
I got called Father Time. I was the grandpa down there. I'm like, I'm not even that old yet, but they're like, nah,
You're
like, you the old head now.
you're probably like 3 years older than
Yeah.
them. So you'd have been like a senior in high school when they're freshmen. That's hysterical. Guys, tell me this hadn't been a great conversation with Emmanuel Smith. I loved every minute of this, Emmanuel. Thank you for sharing your journey. Keep being who you are. You didn't come on here for this reason, but you're an example that what a Vanderbilt man is. And I think you would be a heck of a mentor for guys on the current roster just to learn from what you have been through. So I hope at some point they reach out to you or somebody puts you in touch with current roster guys on the team, and that you get an audience with them because you have a lot to share. So thank you for just being who you are.
So thank you for having me. Bandy has a special place in my heart. I love it to death. I'm always gonna be anchored down, be you till I die. It's treated me well. It's taught me a lot of life lessons and prepared me to be able to actually do what I think my purpose is on this place, on this earth, is to give back to others and inspire hope. And that's what I want to be able to do. So Vanderbilt is a true definition of that.
And this Saturday morning, you're going to catch him at the pregame tailgate and in that stadium.
Yeah.
Down, that's for sure. Now, when we go to post our conversation on YouTube and Spotify, which I'll do in the next day or so, am I supposed to put Emmanuel Father Time Smith? I gotta know how do you want me to?
I would love that. I would crack up laughing. I think that would be hysterical. I would love that. I would laugh. I think it's hilarious. Nah, it's a good thing, you know. They say with age comes wisdom, so I hope I keep getting the wisdom from.
That's right. That's right. Now, when you start growing some of these grays, they coming in.
Yeah.
Then we really know about that aging process. Guys, Emmanuel Smith, one of the best. So great to have him on Conversations with Commodores tonight. So thank you, Emmanuel.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Always.
Anchor down.
Anchor down. Y'all have a good night.